Hello everyone, welcome back to today's video. This is Asia, your English teacher, and today's English lesson is called Housing in My Home Country. This is my home country, Armenia. In today's lesson, I will read you a story about housing in my home country. Our learning objective, remember, objective means goal. Our learning objective, our goal for today is students will be able to interpret a story about housing in someone's home country. Read it with me, class. Students will be able to interpret a story about housing in someone's home country. This word interpret is a verb that means to understand and to analyze. So after I read a story for you today, you will interpret it through the questions that I will ask you. So, before we start with the story, I have a question for you, class. What do you remember from your housing in your home country? So take a moment to think about maybe your childhood home back in the country that you were born in. What do you remember from this house? So as you think about your childhood home, I want to introduce you to my papa's childhood home, which was in Abovyan, Armenia. The city is Abovyan and the country is Armenia. So today I will be reading you a story about Papa's housing in this city. So we will be reading about Papa's housing in Abovyan, Armenia. During the story, I will underline all of the housing vocabulary. So, for example, words like living room, bedroom, bathroom will be underlined. I will also italicize. Italicize means you put your letters on the side like this. I will italicize all of the adjectives. Remember, adjectives describe nouns. These are words like big, small, brown, colorful. So I will italicize those words for you. And finally, I will highlight all of the past tense verbs. In this story, because we are talking about my papa's childhood home, I will be using verbs from the past tense because he was a baby when he lived there. So I'm talking about the past. All of these verbs will be highlighted in gray. Okay, class, are we ready? Let's get to it. Remember, during this reading exercise, please listen carefully and try to understand and picture the story in your mind. Create the story in your mind. Let's do it. I remember visiting my papa's childhood home located in Abovyan, Armenia. He lived in a small apartment that was built during the Soviet era. During the Soviet era, there was a housing shortage. This means there were not enough houses for everyone, so they squished a lot of apartments together in these Soviet-style housing blocks. So when you squish something, you put it together very closely. Because they didn't have enough houses for everyone, they squished all of these apartments together to create Soviet-style housing blocks. Remember, during the Soviet era, this was when the Soviet Union controlled republics like Armenia. So they said, we're going to make these housing blocks. So they made these housing blocks. Papa's apartment had a tiny kitchen and living room. He lived there with his parents and two older siblings. So you can see here, this is an example of a tiny kitchen. You have a refrigerator or a fridge, refrigerator or fridge. You have the stove, the oven, you have the sink area, and you have some brown cabinets. So Papa's apartment had a tiny kitchen and living room. He lived there with his parents and two older siblings. There were no bedrooms or dining rooms because the apartment was too small. My papa's family slept in the living room. So no bedrooms, no dining rooms because the apartment was too small. Everyone slept in the living room. They had a little TV in the living room. They also had a brown table and some chairs. Every morning, my tati, grandma, and papi, grandpa, drank Armenian coffee at the table in the living room. Papa's family did not have a laundry room. They washed their dirty clothes by hand and hung them outside to dry on the clothesline. So as you can see here, this is the laundry that is hanging on the clothesline. Here's the clothesline. Papa's family had a mini bathroom that was very colorful. They had to heat the water on the stove to take a shower because their hot water stopped working in the evenings. So here is their colorful bathroom. It's very, very small. And at night, there was no hot water. So they had to go to the kitchen, take some pots, and start boiling the water so it could be hot. And then they brought it to the mini bathroom, and that's how they took a shower. Even though their housing was small, my papa loved his home because all of his childhood memories were created in his apartment. When I saw my papa's apartment, I was shocked and surprised. I was shocked and surprised. I couldn't believe that he grew up in this tiny apartment. So that is the end of the story, class. I hope you enjoyed this story about my papa's housing in Abovyan, Armenia. Question time! So for your homework today, I will send you a purple Google form. Please answer the questions on the Google form for your homework. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will make sure to help you out with that. Thank you, class. See you in the next video.